You have completed a pet sit, but yet the payment didn't come through yet. Or you're new within the industry and you just don't know what's customary yet. You don't know if you should take a certain percentage beforehand or all of it, or just wait until the pet sit is completed. What should you do? We're all doing our best to provide the best care possible for our furry charges. So it's not just that we're pet sitting. Nope. We are forming a bond with the cat or the dog in our care, and we treat them just like our own. We take care of our clients' home. We're watering the plants. We're bringing in the mail. We're alternating the lights. We're getting certified in pet first aid. Getting paid timely is only fair. So when should you actually charge your clients? You should charge them as soon as they book the visits. You are receiving the money before the pet sitting visits are started. I give you 5 reasons, and then I will talk about tips on how to actually implement that policy. First, it's because you're reserving those particular pet sitting times for your client. So if somebody is asking you now if they can book visits for 2 weeks at the end of the month, they're basically asking you if you're able to do the job. If you're not fully booked yet, you will say yes and reserve that spot for them. Now, the question is, what if they cancel their plans 1 day ahead of the first pet sitting visit? Now, what if it happens with 3 clients at the same time? If you do the math, and let's say those 3 clients are booking you on the low end 2 times per day, or on the high end 4 times per day, you would all of a sudden have between 84 and 168 30-minute spots open, which means you would have between $2,520 and $5,040 in lost revenue. Lost because chances are that you can fill those spots immediately are not realistic. And sure, either way you need a cancellation policy, but let's consider this. Usually a cancellation policy states that X number of days notice is required, otherwise 50% of the service fee applies. Depending on if the visits are booked during holiday time or non-holiday time, the days vary. But try to enforce the cancellation policy on any of your clients that have not paid for the visits yet. That means 1 day before the planned visits that they've just canceled for whatever reason, you will send out the original invoice reduced by 50%. Good luck with that. So if that's just one client who wanted 3 visits per day for 14 days at a rate of $30, and I'm not even including weekend and holiday surcharges, you are going to send out an invoice for $630. If we stick with the same example, they already paid $1,260 and now they will get a refund of $630. Not such a bad deal for them and also for you, because yeah, it stinks, but you might actually be able to fill that spot within a few days. Second reason, early return clients. If a client returns early from their vacation, we do not refund them. Just as a reminder, we have already established that you are reserving those particular visits for only that client. Once you have a certain amount of clients during a given period, you will tell new requests that you're fully booked. They will go ahead and find another option for pet care. It's only normal. So you cannot just turn around a few days before they're going away, because they have already taken care of their pet sitting needs. Since clients who have to return early from their vacation or their business trip will only be able to tell you a few hours or a day before their next visit, you will not be able to fill that spot again, which means loss of income, which is another great reason to charge your pet sitting clients before their visits actually start, because now if they have to come back home early and they're just not getting a refund, that's just the way it is. It's your policy. But if you were to write them an invoice now with visits that you have not completed yet, that might be a little bit harder to swallow psychologically. Third reason, let's look at other industries, and you might be familiar with the both of them. First of all, the airline industry. If you want to go somewhere and you have to book a flight, you have to pay in advance before you're actually boarding the flight. It's just the way it is. In regards to the hospitality industry, it's the same thing. If you want to book a hotel, you have to book in advance. You cannot just sleep there overnight and then pay after. That's just not how things work. Same goes if you cancel your plans. Unless you booked an insurance, if you are not on that flight when it actually takes off, that's just the money that's gone. Same goes for hotels. And yes, there's a little bit more leeway, because some hotels you can cancel 48 hours to 24 hours in advance, but that's not always the case. And if you just don't need that room and you're outside that time frame, that's just the way it is. Money gone. The fourth reason, running after clients to pay their invoice after they're done with their vacation, they're back in work modus, sometimes proves very challenging. There are clients that are really good with paying invoices either way, but sometimes they're just not. And there have been too many questions in Facebook groups about how to make unwilling clients pay their invoice, by the means of dragging them to court. It's not something you should have to consider as a business because it would cost you way too much time and money on top of that. And time is money, so it would be just loss of money. And I don't even want to get into what kind of damage it could do to your company's reputation if a client gets dragged into court by you. The last reason, if you are a premium pet sitting provider, which should be your goal, you're doing exactly the same thing that all the other premium pet sitting providers are doing. Because if you are a premium pet sitting provider, you're organized, you're acting most professionally, and you're providing above standard pet and client care. Every premium pet sitting provider I know does exactly that, charging the full invoice before the visits start. Now, I know how weird it can be to charge upfront if you are new to the business or you have done it always another way. Here are a few best practices so you don't feel awkward asking for payment up front. First, put a clause into your service agreement. The payment clause in our service agreement says, unless otherwise mutually agreed upon, balances are due in full upon receipt of invoices. Payment for dog walking or pet sitting is due in full prior to your dog walking or pet sitting appointment. This will be the base for the following best practices. Now, the next step is when a potential client gets more information from you via email or phone and you are discussing your prices, let them know that you're never overbooking and therefore require payment upfront. This way, their spot is reserved just for them. This is the first time they're actually in contact with your policy. The third best practice happens during the meet and greet. So while you're discussing the next steps, let them know that after they have booked the visits within the portal, they will receive an invoice. After the invoice is paid, they will receive a confirmation email with all the confirmed visits listed. This is a really subtle way of telling them you need to pay the invoice before the visits are confirmed. And fourth, after you're done with the meet and greet, you will send them a welcome email. And within that welcome email, just in other words, you will let them know again that after the visits are scheduled, you will send out an invoice, and once the invoice is paid, they will receive the confirmation email and they're all set. Alternatively, even better, if you require your clients to keep a credit or debit card on file, you charge them as soon as the visits requests come through. After you implement these tips, you will not only see a change in your client's behavior, but also in your confidence level to enforce that policy. Since you communicate that policy from the beginning and it's written in your service agreement, which is a legal document, your clients won't even try to think about challenging it. It's just the way it is. It's the way your business works. I started out with this policy in place 10 years ago when I first started my business, but I just didn't even know how to communicate it to my clients before they were booking services. So I had to remind some of my clients multiple times before the visits would start, which was uncomfortable, but it was to my own doing because I didn't put enough emphasis on the way we worked. As soon as I implemented these tips or good practices that I just gave you, it was smooth sailing from there. I never had a client not pay before their visits. I only had one potential client in all of these years who challenged us on paying up front during a meet and greet, which reflected badly on him. We stood our ground, we were walked out of his apartment, and to this day, I believed we dodged a bullet. I hope you're going to charge up front now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.